joining. And on today's edition, we'll be looking at Mr. President's reform, that is Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reform, and assessing his cabinet. Yes, reshuffle, and also looking at the impact on Nigerians. How well is this going to impact Nigerians? We're going to be exploring all of those angles. But before we get into the conversation and me getting to introduce my guests to you all, let me bring you up to speed with, the press released and the 19th meeting that happened. In a statement, in a significant cabinet reshuffle on Wednesday, President Bola Tinubu approved the reassessment of 10 ministers to new portfolios, discharged 5 and nominated 7, and 7 new orders for onward transmission to the state for confirmation. This came as the president renamed the Ministry of Niger Delta Development to the Ministry of Regional Development, scrapped the Ministry of Sports Development, and merged the Ministry of Tourism and Arts and Culture to become the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy. The decision followed the 19th meeting of the Federal Executive Council at the State House, Abuja. The President revealed details of the reshuffle in a statement titled Statement on Restructuring of Ministries and Ministerial Portfolios. It is said that the far-reaching actions were meant to rejuvenate the administration's capacity for optimal, efficient pursuit of his commitment to deliver on his promises to Nigerians. The ministers who were relieved of their duties are the ministers of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy, Onoha, and the tourism, Lola Adejon, and also education. The Minister for Education is Tairo Manmam, and then the Minister for Youth Development, Dr. Jamila Bayo Ibrahim, and States for Housing and Urban Development, Abdullahi Gosel. The President thanked the outgoing members of the Federal Executive Council for services to the nation while wishing them the best in their future endeavors, the statement read. So that is that from Mr. President at the 19th Executive Council meeting, reshuffling his cabinet, laying off some, scrapping some, and then creating new, and then also nominating new individuals to take up roles as ministers in different areas. So we are going to be exploring the impact on Nigerians, and then we'll also be looking at the scorecard of these past ministers. They were, laid off by Mr. President. So on that note, I'll be introducing my guest, who is an elder statesman, Dr. Bartholomew Abochanu. Good afternoon, sir. Hope I got your second name right, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us on today's edition.
Yes.
All right, looking at President Bola Tinubu's reform, just a week ago you were here and you were calling for reform and new policies and a lot of things to be in place. What's your reaction to this swift action that he took by laying off 5 ministers and then, merging ministers and then creating a new one?
From my own end,
Yes, sir.
Laying off 5 ministers, Minister for Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy, Minister for Tourism, Lola Adejon, Minister for Youth Development, Jamila Ibrahim, the Minister for Education, Tahir Maman, and the Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development, Abdullahi Gwazo. If what was done in good spirit, why not? When you have an officer that you feel is not performing, it's a welcome development for the person to be moved. But if the removal has an undercurrent, that is when there is the problem. As a matter of fact, we have not been duly informed of what these people did before they were ousted. And since the reason has not been clearly stated, Everybody is at liberty to advance his own reason and begin to think helter-skelter. If you look at the ministers that our Baba, our president, has removed, 60% of them are women. 60% of them are women. The minister for women affairs, the minister for tourism, the minister for youths, they are all women, leaving two to be men. And out of these two, one of them was the Minister of State for a ministry. The Minister of State for a ministry. That again calls for a perturbation in reasoning. How will you come and remove the principal of a school from non-performance and the vice principal? How will you come and remove the vice principal admin of a school for non-performance and the principal is retained? How will you come and remove the deputy governor of a state for non-performance and the governor is retained? Does that mean that there was a quarrel between the governor and the deputy governor? Gwazo was removed and the principal, Dangiwa, was retained.
Do you think it's purely political?
My brother, that is where I am tilting towards. Okay. Because a lot of things in Nigeria are political. How will you remove the Minister of State for a ministry and the minister himself is retained? Does it mean that the Minister of State went ahead and did some things that the minister did not approve of? Just like it happened in Benue, that the governor removed the Attorney General.
For not aligning with what the EFCC...
For not aligning. So that one was understood. It was clearly understood.
Yes.
He took laws into his hands and did things without the approval of his principal. Now, in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, what really happened? Was it that the Minister of State, Abdullahi Gwazo, took laws into his hands and began to perform activities that were purely ultra-vires? These are things that we are yet to understand. It could mean that the Minister of State was doing the right thing and was not allowing the minister himself to commit fouls. That can generate an issue. And if the minister himself has an upper hand in relating with the president, the Minister of State can be ousted. That is the area I am tilting towards in my reasoning. And if that was what happened, then too bad for the country Nigeria.
Looking at those angles now and all of these situations, the new appointments that happened, women were also, involved. But let's make mention, let's look at this angle now, looking at the fact that you say mostly everything is being political. Uju Kennedy, who was a former Minister of Women Affairs, was also during the 2023 election, was also one of the candidates for the All Progressive Party who wants to run for presidency, and then she stepped down for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So I think maybe, do you think that there is something that didn't really pan out very well? That's what led to her, being, removed as a minister, or do you think she wasn't performing properly?
Well, they're not performing well there are so many signs that will make one reason in that direction. Because I got to understand that there was a wide jubilation in that ministry. Immediately the news of her ouster broke out. That has to mean that the workers were not really too happy with her. So the issue there may not actually be a feud between her and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It may not necessarily be a conflict between her and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu. It could be that petitions might have been flying from the ministry, both secretly and openly, to the Federal Executive Council concerning the high-handedness of the minister on her subordinate.
Yes.
That is the area my thinking is tilting towards.
Okay. All right, if that's the angle you're looking at, because a few stories came out which have not been confirmed about, some illegal spending of funds that happened within that ministry, but those informations are not yet confirmed yet, but we wouldn't go into that. But for these new ministries, the Ministry for Livestock that was created, do you think it's of an essence to create a new ministry like that, or creating a sub ministry out of the Ministry of Agriculture, something for it to be merged, given the fact that the President is making mention of cutting the cost of governance? These new ministries that were created, mostly to major more on the Ministry of Livestock, do you think it's going to be okay for it to be merged together with the Ministry of Agriculture?
In the first place, I am not in support of a creation of a ministry from the Ministry of Agriculture. Agriculture deals on raising crops and managing livestock, all en bloc. That is what agriculture is all about. The creation of the Ministry for Livestock came as a result of protests, yearning, craving, and giving attention to herders. And I, on my own, I didn't see it necessary, because the creation of that ministry will not stop the barbaric attitudes of the herders. They will still go ahead and do what they had been doing. The issue there is, when laws are created, do we follow it up to make sure that people keep the laws? People take laws into their hands. As I speak to you, there are communities that the herders have sacked the original owners, and they are living there right now, and we have laws in this country to bring them to book. And when this Ministry of Livestock becomes fully operational, you will see that all these herders, they will still continue in their madness. Creation of another ministry under the Ministry of Agriculture is unnecessary. What would have been necessary is to make sure that when rules are made or when laws are made, then let activities be on ground to make sure that everybody keeps the law, and anybody who abrogates the law should be brought to book. That is my own. You will now see that the creation of this Ministry of Livestock with an independent minister, you will see that what we had been trying to prevent will still be there. So that is profligacy. Profligacy in spending. Profligacy in spending. That is making cost of governance to be skyrocketed. It is not good for Nigerians.
Do you think the judicial system is upholding the law by, handling these headers the way they are meant to be handled?
They are not handling them the way they are meant to be handled. They are not at all, of course. They are the ones encouraging them. They are the ones encouraging them. When a legislator will come up and say that cows are citizens. Hello? I don't know whether you heard it. Did you hear it? When a legislator will come up and say that cows are citizens of Nigeria, you will now begin to wonder how cows are citizens of Nigeria and that they are entitled to freedom of movement. So the legislators, the lawmakers, they are not actually handling these headers the way they are supposed to be handled. And that is why we are having the multiple problems we are having about headers, and impunity is what drives them.
Okay, looking at those angles now, these new ministers that have been appointed, how confident are you in them? And the decision taken by Mr. President, this is just him returning back from his 2 weeks vacation, taking this bold step by, letting off a few ministers and appointing new. So these new ministers that have been appointed now, let's look at Bianca Ojukwu, who has been appointed the Minister of Foreign Affairs. How well do you think she's going to, perform there, given the fact that she have once occupied that position during the era of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in the year 2012?
Well, as for Bianca Ojukwu, how she would perform, well, the taste of the meal is in the eating. Yes, even when a male begins to send out aroma, you will authenticate the preparedness of the meal by eating the food. Yes, Bianca Ojukwu extending the Federal Executive Council membership to the Southeast is a welcome development. It's a government of inclusion. All inclusion, cutting across different regional backgrounds. People applaud the chief helmsperson of this country, including myself. I applaud that. And as a matter of fact, people applaud it most especially as it would drive towards unification of Nigerian ethnic groups, cutting across various regions. People applaud it, and I applaud it too. And most especially with the ill-feeling that are coming from the Southeast as a result of their leader being incarcerated. You see, this may go ahead to tell people that, well, look, I am not against the Southeast. I am against an individual that is trying to create division in the Nigerian government. But as for the performance of Bianca Ojukwu, if she performed well during the time of Goodluck Jonathan, the time of Ahmed Bola Tinubu is an entirely different period. And so we know the taste of the meal by the eating.
Tasting the meal of the taste of the meal by the eating.
Yes.
Okay, does this mean now, the Southeast now are eating, right? So does this mean that the sit-at-home policy might be able to ease down with this inclusion that the Southeasterners are witnessing in this current administration?
The sit-down the sit-down policy of the Southeast is a very big policy. Bianca Ojukwu alone may not be able to address it.
But sir, do you think this is pointing at a good direction?
What?
This decision and then this inclusion, do you think it's pointing towards a good direction for the Easterners to, take it easy on the sit-at-home policy?
Well, It could have an impact on it, but what I'm trying to say, the impact may not be as much as to be able to cushion the effect. It will not be as much as being able to stop them from the sit down at home policy, because that is emanating from a very, very strong force. Even if two full ministers, even if two full ministers or three full ministers are appointed from the Southeast, the sit at home policy of the Southeast is a very, very strong policy of the Southeast, except God, or except their gods, so to say, have to come in. I think breaking through the barrier may be very, very difficult.
Okay, let's move away from Ojukwu and Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu. Let's look at a very key sector in Nigeria, which is the Ministry of Education. Now, it is said that Mr. Dr. Saad Ahmed is now the current minister. How well do you think he's going to perform? Looking at the various challenges within the educational sector, as a doctor that you are, looking at the challenge within the educational sector of Nigeria, how well do you think Sadi Ahmed is going to perform as the minister?
Well, just like I said it in the case of Bianca Ojukwu, the taste of a meal is in the eating. Education is a very vast sector. Before you perform well in education, intellectually, you have to be sound. Experience-wise, you have to be sound. Psychologically, you have to be sound. And pathetically, you have to be sound. Patience-wise, there are several dimensions that you bring into performing in education. So let us just watch and see. We're not just looking at the academic qualification. We are neither looking at the technical qualification, not even in the experiences. Let's see his challenges that come, and let us see how he will be able to address them. I, for one, on my own, when this person was there, Tahir Maman was there, and the idea of 18-year mark for a youth to get to the university came, I thought he would have approached it maturely, bringing his experiences and qualifications into bear. He did not do that. And one of the things that this new minister would do that will impress on the reasonings of the people is to revisit that policy. That policy is not helpful to Nigerians. And because they have not been able to advance persuasive reasons, convincing reasons why they should peg getting university education at 18 years and above. They are forcing that policy on us. I am of the opinion that as this minister is coming, he will take a binocular look at that policy and do the needful. If he does that, he will have some handsome mark on his scorecard.
Okay. Well, we'll be going on a very quick break, and then when we return back, Midday Discourse continues as we tend to extract other angles of today's conversation. Please do stay with us.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Midday Discourse, and we've been having an interesting conversation with another statesman, Dr. Bartholomew, who is seated right here with me in the studio. And before we went on that quick break, I was about to ask, what's your reaction to APC sweeping 21 states in your seats, chairmanship seats in your state, sir, Kogi State?
So barbaric, so ungodly, so worldly, and so wicked. You know, when somebody is a wicked man and you want to embark on wickedness, you should be intelligent. People who embark on wicked acts should be intelligent. The APC warlords in Kogi are not intelligent. How will you come up to say that all the 21 local government seats in Kogi are won by APC? Even in rivers, that the head of government is loved by the people there. The other party took one local government. Not to talk of Kogi. When the immediate past governor is right now a fugitive and a vagabond, running away from arrest, creating a very bad name for the state. So many people are aggrieved against that. And you are now coming to tell us that people would now vote for a party headed by such fugitive. Mr. Sam, I make bold to tell you that there was no even any election. There was no election. Ballot papers, ballot boxes were not taken to polling stations. People came to the polling stations prepared to vote. But lo and behold, we heard that the ballot papers were taken from the State Electoral Commissioner's office and taken to unknown destinations under the security of the police. The Nigerian police guarded them with guns to unknown destinations when they were thumb printed. Kaba. And by 11 o'clock, 11 in the morning, the results were already announced. The results were already announced. Voting that should have started by 8 o'clock, you start with accreditation of voters and bringing all the steps in the electoral jurisprudence together. They want to tell us that at 8 o'clock, from 8 o'clock before 11, the voting had been concluded, had been counted, and had been collated. How possible is that? They are not intelligent. And when you come up to begin to talk, they say you should go to court. And that court they are sending you to, it is the person like them that is sitting there. We have a problem in electoral jurisprudence in this country.
You know,
We have big problem. We have big problem. And the CEC, he knows that this has happened. He knows that this has happened. Why won't he switch into action? If he means well for this country. And a few hours later, the number one person in the state congratulated the people, the so-called people, the so-called people who have won the chairmanship seats. Let me shock you further. The councillorship seats also were all APC, preparing ground to break through barriers, to retain themselves in office perpetually. That was the madness that happened in Kogi. That was the, as I am talking to you, I am bleeding in my heart for that place called Kogi. I am not proud coming from there on account of the leaders we have. I would like you to join me in prayer to God for intervention for Kogi. There is no landscape that is as naturally blessed as Kogi in this country. But what God has denied us of is people with good character. We have greedy people in Kogi. We have criminals in Kogi. We have fugitives in Kogi. As God has blessed us with natural resources, join me in prayer for God to also bless us with people of goodwill.
You know, looking at what happened in Kogi and what happened in Rivers, you know, the PDP kind of, you know, withdrew back and did not contest for the local government elections, you know. But looking at what happened, what transpired, do you think if the PDP would have gone ahead and contested for that local government election, do you think the results would have been different?
For your information,
Yes.
the PDP there withdrew. It's in quote. I think you are aware that Fubara himself was a PDP staff.
Yes.
What happened was as a result of conflict. Wike had the leaders of the party,
Yes.
but the followers were for Fubara. And Wike was trying to use the leadership to crush whatever would happen in Rivers. Then Fubara now carried the followers. And so even if PDP were to come in, the PDP are only at the leadership level. They are not the ones that majorly would vote. I believe very strongly that even if the PDP had not pulled out, the results wouldn't have been the same.
Okay.
The result wouldn't have been different.
Okay, that meaning the votes of the people actually counted in River State.
That is my conviction.
Okay. You know, talking about elections now, we are seeing one that is also coming up very soon. That is within Ondo State, maybe on the 16th of November. How key do you think the INEC need to be, and security operatives need to make sure that everything, you know, goes, you know, according to plan, according to the plan or the will of the people in terms of, you know, voting?
I will talk after the election. Because nobody can give any pass mark to INEC anywhere in this country anymore. The problems we have in this country are from two dimensions. Number one, the INEC and the judiciary. they don't win anybody's trust now. Yes, of course, the INEC will come and speak every form of English they feel to speak. They will not tell you that they will go in for malpractice. They won't tell you that. Rather, they will strategize on how to do it cunningly, intelligently. As for malpractice, for sure. If malpractice does not happen, then it's a miracle. Because malpractice has eaten down deep into the fabric of every Nigerian politician as at today. If I say that, everybody has every reason to agree with me. Also, in Ondo State, that it is coming until it has come and gone. If not, anything anybody may have to say now may not work right. But the positioning of everybody for now is that there's going to be malpractice.
What do you think is the cause of all of this?
The cause of all of this?
Yes, the malpractice, the corruption that has eaten deep into the system. What do you think?
Greed, number one. Non-patriotism. Number two, Satanism. Number three, worldliness. Number four, a lot of people think they are going to stay in this world forever. They don't think that sickness can come one day, and that sickness is such that they will not be able to cure. They don't think about God. They are so ungodly. They don't think about God. Neighborliness is not in their agenda. Morality is not in their agenda. They have been sunk highly by moral decadence. They don't think well. They don't think of their neighbor, and they don't think of the country. They don't think on how to build the country. They think on how to build themselves. And of course, that is not building yourself. If what belongs to another person, you grab them to yourself, you are not building yourself. You are adding venoms into your system, and at the appropriate time, it will begin to bite you and reduce you to stubble.
Well, let's come back to the conversation about Mr. President and his reform. So how well can you say, if you were to sit with him, how do you think he performed with all of these approaches that he has taken, to help, according to his manifesto, to help, revamp Nigerian economy and give Nigeria the dividends of democracy?
Now, speaking about the president's reform,
yes,
it all depends on him. It depends on whether what he is doing, he is sincere with it. In my discourse from Adam, I have always been saying that this government is not sincere with us. The reform now, 5 ministers have been ousted. 7 new ministers co-opted in. And 10 ministers reassigned. These 10 ministers that were reassigned, what was the reason? Reassigned means they were taken from the ministries that they were to other ministries to go and perform. What was responsible for that? Was it that they did not have the prerequisite qualification to have been deployed to their original place of service? And if they did not have the prerequisite qualification, who is to blame? Did they not appear before the National Assembly for their appointments to be confirmed? And in confirming one's appointment, won't you delve into those areas to make sure that one has the prerequisite qualification to get into a particular ministry or not. That also tells us the functions of the National Assembly. That the National Assembly may not be doing their work very well. They are just puppets of the puppeteer. Whatever the CNC says, it's very difficult for the National Assembly to go against it. If not, if the CNC nominates a minister, okay, he can nominate the minister based on his cordial relationship with the minister. The duty of the members of the National Assembly, it is to say, okay, you that they are nominating here, how do you think you'll be able to perform? Do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this? Do you have that? The National Assembly, they don't go into that. When the CNC nominates, then they are rubber stamped. It's very difficult for the National Assembly to turn down the nomination of the CNC. And that does not spell good for us. Does not spell good for us. So, as per how these people will perform, just like I have been saying, the taste of the food is in the eating.
I think this
go
is
to
the
the
word.
field.
This is the word for the day.
Yes.
The taste. How do you say that again, sir?
Yeah, the taste of the food is in the eating.
Okay, so
You have to start eating the food before you know the taste.
Well, that's a valid point. You have to taste
Yes.
the food to know
Yes.
what it actually tastes like.
Yes.
But we've been testing what the policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the past over 15 months now. So, how do you think now with this new plan and these new ministers, do we expect to see new policies, and how do you think these policies now would affect Nigerians? And again, looking at that angle, the federal government have also made mention of the increment of valued added tax from 7.5% to about 15%, which has not been implemented yet. So how do you think all of this is going to impact Nigerians?
Well, just like I have been saying, if this reform has no undertone, if President Ahmed Bola Tinubu was not pressured upon for these new intakes to come in, if those who were ousted was not as a result of conflict, reason quite unknown to us, if it was done on a clean slate with the aim to develop the country, why not? I am in for it. But if the reshufflement, if the reform is done as a result of the president being pressured upon relationship, then we have a problem. And as for the increase in added value tax, just like we continue to see in Nigeria, nothing ever goes down. Everything will be going up by the day. Everything will be going up by the day. And as the value added task is skyrocketing, that is how the cost of living will still be skyrocketing. Before I came here, you know the small cylinder I use for my gas, I used to fill it with 16,000 naira. I gave money to my family. When they went to the filling station, it became 18,000 naira.
This is within what period?
A week. A week. It became 18,000 naira. And that is what happens everywhere, across board. Things are increasing. We don't think of bringing the cost of anything down. That is highly worrisome to many Nigerians.
Yeah, looking at the angle of gas, though the NNPC and then the State House have, asked them to stop exporting those products, so as it's going to help cushion down the price. We hope to see that kick into effect, and we hope to see that the prices of gas and other, food items get to crash down. But lots of persons have argued differently, that it's towards the end of the year, festivities around the corner, and normally during this time, things tend to go up. But this administration is promising that that is not going to be the case as the year winds up. But before we wrap up on today's edition, it's been said that a bill has been sent to the State House about the state, Oyo Ibadan states, wanting to create another state out of, Ibadan. What's your reaction to that?
Ibadan is a large state. Oyo State is a large state. If there is an initiative to create another state from Oyo State, I am not against that. It makes the government easier. I am not against that. If that is done on a clean slate, it's a welcome development.
What about the economic implications of this, looking at Nigerian inflation and, the cost of governance that we've been clamoring about? So don't you think this is, looking at Nigerian economy, do you think this is actually a right time for more states to be created? Don't Nigerians have a lot, the president, don't they have a lot on his hands now at this point?
If more states are created and the people that are deployed into managing those states are decent and are patriotic, we don't have any problem. As I often say, or as I have always been saying,
yes,
the problem of this country is not finance. It's the people. The people managing the finance. If you even trim down the number of people that are in government to about half, and those half are dubious, they can steal as much as, if the number are tripled, could steal. So the problem of this country is in the people. In the people. It is not in the finance. The finance is there. But they are cutting it away. They are mismanaging it. Those who are in government, what they do now, they plan formulas to use in cutting away this money. They plan. Those who are in ministries,
yes,
and they say that when contracts are to be given, let it not be given to your friends, let it not be given to your relations and the rest of them. They will think outside the box. Bring people that are not their relations, that are not their friends, and connect them and give them a stern warning. This thing we want to do, it has to go like this. They plan all those technicalities. That is the problem we have in the country. To really fare well, God has to bless us with new breed of people who are patriotic. Non-patriotism is the problem we have. By the moment God blesses us with people that are patriotic, we will make it.
We will make it, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bartholomew, for taking our time to join us on today's edition of Midday Discourse. We really appreciate all of your recommendations and your input. Sure, this administration is actually taking note of most of the valid points you've stated here today.
Thank you so much.
And that's how much time will permit us to take on today's edition of Midday Discourse. The taste of the food is in the eating. I think that's the word for today. My name is Samuel Odi. I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.